Welcome to this month's Crafting and Cries Kit Club tutorial where we're going to be making our tree centerpiece. So I have all of the things from the kit here, but what I'll be using today for the demo is I'm actually going to be using the tissue paper that came in the kit as the background for my tree. So I'm going to put the napkins aside. Doesn't mean that you can't use the napkins. Just in the tutorial, I'm going to give you one idea of what we can do. And then when we do the live crafting later this month, I'll do another version so that you have a couple to choose from. But the things that I'll be using today is you're going to need your tree, the little wood stump, that's going to be our base. We're going to be using the nativity cutout. We're going to be needing the block. We're also going to be using the little foliage piece that we have there, the little flower pick. We'll use the ribbon that comes with it. We're also going to be using the little tag, so we'll grab that. The string that comes with the tag, we'll need that. Let me just change the view here so that you can get a better idea of what we're crafting with, get a little wider screen there. You also get some Christmas balls with your kit. I probably won't be using those for today's project, but some other things that I have grabbed. So I have grabbed my chalk paint in Plaster. This is a little bit of an off-white. I'm going to turn my iron on. We'll be using the iron-on decoupage method. I've also got my antique wax in, I use the Dixie Best Dang wax in brown. I've got my antique applicator tool, a spare plate. We've got the glue gun on, it's actually charging. I'm going to turn it on here in a minute. We've got some water and some brushes. You're going to need your Mod Podge. And I think that's it to get started. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to prep our wooden base. So this is what's going to be, I got to move everything around here. This is our main surface that we're going to use. And I'm going to use the tissue paper on this. But I did want to start, I'm going to use a little bit bigger brush on this. But we are going to start by just giving it a little background coat to kind of help with any imperfections. I've got some darkening here on the tree, and we're just going to cover any of that up. And this is going to allow our tissue paper design to really pop on once we get it on there. So we're going to paint, and you can use any white. You don't have to use this plaster white. It's going to give it a decent coat. I just want a nice background to that. So again, you can use, you can apply the tissue paper directly to the background if you want like a more natural look. And we've done that on a couple projects. And I am going to paint all the way down to my stem. I do have the surface saver here, so if I get some paint on the mat, it's fine. And I'm actually going to be painting both sides because we are using this as a centerpiece. I don't want the back to be unfinished. All right, then I'm going to hit that with the heat gun. The heat gun's optional. I just use it on the tutorials, so you don't have to wait as long for me to get everything caught up. I'm so excited about this project. I love the foliage. I am tying it a little bit different to tie the tree in with the nativity, but again, this is just going to be one idea of what you can do the project. I love seeing in the group so many different variations that everyone does with the same, we all have the same pieces, but everyone has a little bit of a different twist on how they do it, and I absolutely love that. It also gives new crafting members ideas for creativity. If this is the first time, you know, I love seeing what other people make, and then it inspires me. And again, we'll be doing this live together in the group towards the end of the month. So this particular one I'm working with has like a little chingalera there, and it's not a big deal. I could actually, the way I'm going to do this, I could use that part on the front and you're not even going to see it, but I will probably keep it on the back. So I'm just hitting this back with a little bit of paint. And then we'll hit it again with the heat gun. Doesn't have to be a super thick coat because we're just using it as a background. All right, and then I'm gonna come here and I'm just gonna wipe these spots just so I don't get wet paint on any any of the other spots. All right, we're gonna flip it back over, and then now we're gonna come on it with the Mod Podge. You do want to make sure, because I did have some pools of paint there, that everything is nice and dry before we apply the Mod Podge. All right, so now I'm going to come over and we're just hitting it with a light coat of Mod Podge. Now you do want to make sure that you get all the way to the edges on this. Otherwise, when we go to iron on our design, it's not going to stick on all these little edges and corners. So we want to make sure we get the whole thing covered. It doesn't have to be thick, but it does have to have a good coat all the way over it. So I'm just pulling the Mod Podge from the center where I pulled it and just making sure I get the whole thing covered. Gonna hit it with a heat gun again. That has a pretty good start on it drying. So we're going to go ahead and put it aside and let it continue drying. And from here, we're going to go ahead and start antiquing some of the other pieces that we're going to use. So I'm actually going to hit this nativity scene with the antique. You could paint this a whole black. You could paint it a whole color. I'm actually just going to hit it with the antiquing just to darken it up a little bit. Now when you use the antiquing, it's kind of like a buildable color, so you can always add more. I always like to just kind of tap off the excess there before I hit the actual piece with it. Otherwise you could end up with some blobby spots. But if you do, just keep working at it. You can see this kind of just gives it like a nice stained look. And it also like softens all the areas from the laser. As you could see, there was like a little bit, you know, the laser sometimes makes some discolorations. So here we go. We have our darkened little nativity scene. And then I've debated back and forth, and I think I am gonna hit the base with some stain as well. Just so it ties in to the nativity. You can kind of see the direction of the wood saw goes this way, so I'm gonna kind of work with it. And darken this piece up. And then the other little thing we have is our block. Our block is actually going to be used as the stand to hold the tree up. So I think I am going to darken that as well, just because it's going to be by the same area. So I don't want it to stand out as a different color so much. So I am going to take some of the stain and come in here and color the block. And yes, I'm getting stain all over my hands. It's okay. All right, I don't have to go super dark with that, but I'm just trying to get it so that it just doesn't stand out as much. I just kind of want it to blend in. So now when we put it on the background, it's going to kind of blend in there and not just look so brand new type deal. Okay, so I am going to leave the wax out because I'm going to be using that to antique the actual tree once we get the base on it. So we want to make sure this is all nice and dry. I do see one little spot here that looks like I missed with the Mod Podge. You'll kind of be able to see once it's done because it'll be shiny where the Mod Podge is. So it looks like I missed one little, well, a couple little spots of the edge. See, I told you to make sure that we don't miss any, and then I go and I miss some. So I'm just gonna get those little spots there that I can tell didn't quite get the Mod Podge, and then I'm gonna hit that with the heat gun before I go in and iron my print on there. Because because we definitely want to make sure that we have it all covered there. All right, so we're not going to be using the whole sheet of Mod Podge. So what we can do is I can actually just cut a strip here of the size that I need that I'll be working with. Grab my scissors. So I'm just going to cut right here. So I don't have the whole sheet that I'm working with. And from here, what I'm going to do is I can unfold this whole thing. And what I want to do is I want to figure out where I want the wording. And I'm going to go for having this area right here be the main focal piece, because I'm actually going to come in when I attach the floral piece, and it's going to sit probably right in here somewhere. So I might actually want to even bring it down a little bit. I want to make sure that wherever I put it, we can see it. But then I'm also going to be using this cutout at the bottom. So if I go too low, you're not going to be able to see it at all. So actually, it looks like I need to bring it up a little bit. I feel like that's going to be a good area. So I can kind of give you like a little mock-up of what I'm going to do. So it's going to be kind of right there in that area is what I'm looking at. That's kind of what I'm going for. All right, so that being said, what I can do is I can go ahead, since I already have it here, and just make sure I don't lose the H on the he. And I feel like this is going to be a good spot right here. So I'm going to leave it there. You're also going to need your parchment paper whenever you're working with the iron for doing the iron-on method. You're going to want that piece of parchment paper in between the paper that you're working with. So today we're working with 18-pound tissue, and then in between your iron. So I just turned my iron up one more click. Stealing a little drink of coffee. All right, we're gonna come on in here and we're just gonna go through and we're just gonna iron this down. So the biggest thing is you just wanna make sure you keep moving and that you hit all your little points of the tree. Now, if you don't have an iron and to do this part, this is the little Cricut iron, but if you don't have this, you can just Mod Podge it the regular way too. You don't have to do it this iron-on method. This has just kind of become my favorite because we get like a nice flat press, and where I am going to be putting multiple things on this, we want it nice and attached and pressed, nice and flat. But again, if you want texture, you could do the regular Mod Podge. If you want a more wrinkled look, you could wrinkle it in. You could put some snow on this. There's all kinds of fun things that you can do with it. So basically we want to make sure that we have it attached at all areas, and it looks like we have a good job here. So what I'm going to do now is just cut off the extra, so I'm not working with so much. And then we're going to be using our sanding tool to go ahead and sand off the rest. So just doing a rough cut around it so I don't have so much stuff that I'm working with here. And I'm just going to come into these areas. I'm just going to cut a little bit so as I get the sander in there, it's not going to try and tear at those little corner parts. Alright, so we're going to take our finger sanding tool. Again, this is on my, if you go to my Amazon favorites post, I have it linked there. And then I'll try and link it below on YouTube as well. But this is my favorite way to clean up edges. I don't have the best luck with the burned method because I guess you're supposed to do it when it's wet, I don't know, but it burns my design and I don't like that look for the most part on my particular project. Other people have done it, it looks gorgeous, but I have not had the best luck. All right, so we're just gonna sand off all the little edges. So as we work, just keep. And when you're sanding, you're only doing the pressure back. You're only putting pressure as you go down. You're not putting pressure as you go up because we don't want to lift that design. All the way around. It's always going to be tricky in the corners. That's why I cut them before I went in and sanded them. So it automatically start breaking at that corner piece without ripping the design. Corners are always tricky. All right, so there we have our whole tree is finished. You could do the back too. I'm just going to leave the back plain. I'm just going to focus on the front. So the next thing that I'm going to do is, oh, I forgot. I actually wanted to paint this tag the off-white. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So let me grab the plaster again. I did want to paint this, and I bought some stamps. So I'm going to be using some little stamps that I just bought that I've been dying to play with. So I'm going to grab those, but let me go ahead and get a coat on this of the plaster because I'm going to want to antique this as well. So again, just coming in here with the plaster color, a little bit of an off-white. You could use a pop of color with this. You could also use black. You could Mod Podge this and put a whole nother design on it. So many options. And you don't have to use it with this project either. You could use it for another project or on an actual gift. All right, there we go. I'm only going to do the front because I am going to attach it so that it's face down. Whoop! As I flip it over, because my hands are wet with the paint. Let me hit that with the heat gun again. Oops. Okay, so now we're gonna come in with our antiquing, our wax again. And I'm dabbing off the excess because I don't want to go all crazy in on it. Put my glasses on for this. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to hit these edges, and I'm just trying to antique it up a bit. We're just going to try and age it just a little bit. So again, hitting the excess and then lightly coming in on the edges. So this part is kind of applying it, and then I'm going to come through and I will work with it a little bit more. Okay, so I've got kind of a little bit around the edge, and now I can come in and I can soften it up a little bit. You can add more, kind of just to get the look that you want to get. You can bring it all in. All right, that's pretty good. I don't want to go too crazy on that, but I am going to go through and I'm going to hit the tag too, because I did want the tag to not be so new looking. So I'm just coming in. Now it is going to grab on the tag a little bit more because it's chalk paint, it's not paper. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit this with the stamper, which I just bought this. I haven't even used it. So I'm gonna go through here. I probably need to put this in my favorite things. If this works out good, we'll see. So I'm gonna go through and I am going to add my stamps. Obviously I can do a little bit less pressure. I haven't used this stamp before, so let's see, we're gonna do C. All right, less pressure is better. And I'm gonna do the H. These are so fun already. I. I'll leave the I out. Well. Ooh, the ones in the middle are hard to grab with your nails. Trying to leave them in the same order so I can find them. So I'm gonna type, I'm trying to stamp on here, a child is born. Oops. Just tapping the extra over there. All right, now we just need born. So we'll get our B-O-R-N. And this doesn't have to be perfect. Like, we're just having fun. If you are more concerned about everything being perfect, you could definitely draw some pencil lines on here. I just like to have fun. All right, we got R, and then we'll get our N. Okay, so I grabbed M instead of N, so this is how we fix that. We're gonna come back in with the paint. Sometimes this happens. And this wouldn't be the first time that I've done this either, truth be told. So we're just gonna come back in with the paint. And we're gonna dab over that. I'm gonna hit it with a couple layers. Let me grab, we're gonna hit it with some heat, and then we're gonna do another layer, and then we'll come over with the antiquing, and everything's gonna be fine. We got some heat. We're gonna add another just little layer, because I just need to build up that cream again. Make sure it's dry. Then we're going to come over with the antiquing, basically just distracting a little bit, and then we'll go in and put the correct letter. Then make sure that you grab the right letter when you're doing this, if you're using the stamps. I got all crazy because I was like, oh, I'm almost done. This looks so cute. All right, so then we just come in with the correct and there we go. Not even going to be able to tell that that was there. All right, so I'm gonna put my little lid on here. Put this away. Again, I'll link this in my Amazon favorite things. First time I used it, absolutely love it. But there we go. So you can see, you can barely even see where I made the mistake. No one's gonna notice. All right, go ahead and put the plaster away. So now I'm gonna take some extra jute. And we're gonna be using some jute, and then I'm gonna always grab my bow maker here, so we're gonna add like a little bow on this. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to attach my little floral pick here before I attach it to the bottom. So I think I'm gonna end up putting it a little bit high up here. So let me get my glue gun turned on. we will move the wax out of the way because we're done with that. All right, so we have all of our little pieces here. So while we're waiting for the glue gun to heat up, we're gonna go ahead and do our bow here. And the bow is gonna go on top of our little floral thing. So we wanna keep that in mind when we're determining how big to make it. Try to decide, I might want to do, I think I'm going to keep it pretty much to the edges here. All right, and then I'm going to come in with my buffalo. And we're building it backwards, so the part that you see now is actually going to be the back of the bow, unless we flip it around when we tie the knot. So in here we can adjust it a little bit before we tie it. If you're like, it looks like one side I'm a little bit heavier on the loops, and then we can use this to push it down. Usually I just push it down with my hands because we're not using a ton. All right, and that is gonna pull our bow out. So you can see this is what we've got here. I'm gonna get the good scissors to cut the tails so that I don't have, make sure I have nice good angles here. And then if we want these a little bit different, you know, we can mess with those. And then I'm gonna leave the jute out because we're still gonna want some more of the jute. So we'll put our little bow aside. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna glue my little flower pick where I want it. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and attach our floral pick where we want it on here. So I am gonna put the glue directly on, well, I need to get the string out of the way or it's not gonna stick. I'm gonna put it directly on the actual pick here. And you're probably gonna have to give it a good amount of glue because we've got the snow and a whole bunch of things going on there. All right, so we've got that where we want it. Then I'm gonna come in and I actually want kind of this look here where it's like, it looks like it's tied. Well, we probably trying to decide how many loops I want. Because I kind of want a couple. I'm just gonna take this around the back here. There we go. I think I'm gonna do one more. just want a little bit of a thicker look there. All right. So from here we can kind of adjust where we want these to sit. Again, these aren't necessarily holding this pick down. It's more for looks. That's why we had to glue it. But from here, I'm just gonna tie the knot. And then I can decide, do I want these strings with the other strings or not? If so, you can leave them. If not, you can cut them. We also have on here our tag, which I should have thought about before. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of these extra strings here. And I'm going to want to leave some space for that to sit where I want it to sit. So I'm just going to loosely tie that knot. And then I'm actually, let me just make sure I have my space. Yeah, I'm actually going to go ahead and attach that there. So again, that's going to help get the pick anchored in another spot, and so it doesn't move as much. And then I'm going to come in with my bow. And I am going to just push that knot up there because I don't want that to show. So again, just work with, I get my, usually I have my precision transfer tool handy and it's not handy. So I'm going to just, I want to use my hands on there because I don't want to burn myself. Oops. All right. Nails to the rescue. All right, so then we're gonna go ahead and add our bow on there. So I'm gonna put the glue on the back of the bow. And attach it there. Now again, you can play with your strings. I've got strings going every which way. That's fine. I like it. I think it's cute. But here's what we have so far. So the next thing that we're going to start doing is we're going to start assembling our stand here. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to glue my block because this is actually what's going to hold it. And I'm going to center the block. This is the center. I'm going to push it to the back because I want the tree to actually be in the center. So for the tree to be in the center, the block needs to be further back. And I am going to use one of the smooth sides of the block to apply the glue. And it's going to be that easy. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to get your tree on here. So again, I'm going to apply the glue. I'm going to apply a generous amount of the glue. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my tree, make sure it's down where I want it, and that the block is hidden behind the tree. We want to make sure that it's straight. It's all the way to the bottom, so push down. So I'll show you on the back here what I have. So we're making sure that it's pushed down and everything's attached there. Then the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our nativity scene. I'm going to put mine here at the bottom. So I'm just going to add the glue. The biggest thing is going to be to get it centered. So it pretty much looks like the glue needs to be on the sheep and then the bottom. Or I'm sorry, not on the sheep, on baby Jesus. Okay, so I make sure that my bow's out of the way here. And again, I'm pushing everything in towards the base. And let me go ahead and switch cameras. We'll go back to this view so that you can see the finished project. So here we have the finished tree stand, your little centerpiece. It'll stand all by itself. And then the back, this is what the back looks like. So again, you could stain the back if you wanted it to have like a little more finished look on the back. But here's the front. Again, you can play with the bow if you want to make sure, like, if my wording isn't showing. But there you go. So make sure if you do this before the class, go ahead and if you're going to share on social media, you can make sure to tag us at Christian Craft Paper so we can see your finished project. And I will go ahead and remove this. And I would love to see what you create. Make sure you share it in the group. But this is this month's kit. So again, until next time, happy crafting.